Blood and Bones is the title of the exhibition. It really refers to the water and rock of the earth being the blood and bones of the earth. So I wanted to make that correlation through the title of different kinds of bodies. The idea that the earth is made up of rock and water in a lot of historical ideas about the earth, understandings about how hydrology works in the earth, it often is referred to as blood and bones. And one of my big interests has always been the garden. And a lot of my work really came initially out of thinking about how garden spaces, and especially the ancient Chinese gardens, which I studied really early on because I was interested in landscape painting, but also how landscape painting and garden building are so interconnected. These spaces that gardens try to create are completely built around the idea of water and rock being the blood and bones of the earth, and the way that they work in unison, in combination with each other. Oftentimes, rock is considered the hard, durable element, but it's really water that is constantly making its presence known through the way it carves and has a relationship to the forms of the spaces that the earth takes. So I used that title also because the waterfalls, I really think of them as portraits. The one that we're looking at right here, this sculpture is a portrait of Millard Canyon Falls, which is just north of Pasadena. It started this exhibition, the works in this exhibition, the very first piece I made was the piece that is titled Eaton Canyon Falls. And I really decided that, this landscape that we live in, this area that we live, the mountains that LA sort of just butts right up against, are such a significant part of the way that I experience the city. And the mountains are always there. There's such a presence, and there's such a space that kind of is constantly sort of luring me and pulling me to it. And so I thought, well, when my son was growing up, one of our big adventures would be to go out and go hiking to one of our local waterfalls. And it was such a sort of wonderful part of my experience being a mother and raising my child in LA, and our experience of the world that is, essentially in our backyard. And so I decided, since these waterfalls are such a part of my life and my experience, that I would make portraits of them. So that's how the waterfalls in this exhibition sort of started, just really wanting to be as true to the form that the water takes as I could be. So I would hike to these various waterfalls. In this exhibition, there are 5 different waterfalls, and they're all from local Southern California mountains, or north of LA, and the LA area. And I would hike there and make drawings and make photographs, and then come back to my studio and begin building the armature out of steel and mesh, and build up the form. And one of the things that I was really interested in the building of the waterfalls is the presence that body of water has when your body is in relationship to it. You feel it as much as you see it. The waterfall has such an amazing presence as a sort of standing body of water that is in constant flow, in constant motion. And I was really interested in the feeling of what it's like as the water is rushing over the rock. And so I wanted to build these forms in such a way that your body could enter the space of the rock and be present in that space where one normally couldn't be. And so that's why they're built sort of cantilevering out into space so that it provides an entryway for the body to become part of the space of the landscape where this waterfall is present. I wanted to make them in correlation to the body, the same, about the same size as the body. So there's a one-to-one correlation of ourselves in relationship to this element in the environment, in the natural world, or and then these others, many of the other smaller pieces that are on the wall or that are on pedestals. I was really thinking about what the water does as it moves underground, as it has a relationship to the underworld. And so I draw more on mythology for those pieces. They're much more abstract, and they have a really different relationship to the way that I think about what water can be. And water is something that provides us with stories, mythology, relationships between bodies. And so those pieces, which are much more abstract, I don't consider them portraits in the same way that I consider the waterfalls portraits.